On September 11th, 2001 at 8:45 a.m., a large explosion occurred in Manhattan, New York. This explosion, which occurred as a result of a passenger plane hitting the North Tower of the World Trade Center in the United States, was the beginning of terrorist attacks that plunged the United States into chaos and fear. Tall enough to overlook the World Trade Center and become the tallest buildings in New York, the Twin Towers unexpectedly collapsed in the attack. Twin Towers, like the Statue of Liberty, became one of the symbols of New York. However, they are more reminiscent of the globalization of American values than of freedom, liberalism, and democracy. Alongside the issues that have been raised in many media about this event, we want to address the secrets that have been less talked about in the media. For example, why did the builders of these towers claim that they were built to withstand being hit by airplanes, but then they were completely destroyed? What is the story of the word Q33.9 in Microsoft Word? Or if we fold the dollar, why should it depict the explosion of two adjacent towers? In this video, we will reveal to you the amazing reasons and mysteries that you may not know about. Stay with us.
The fame of these towers had become somewhat of a headache for them because they were almost a symbol of America's dominance over the world. Therefore, they turned into a target for terrorist attacks by America's enemies. In 1992, almost a decade before the attack on the Twin Towers, a van filled with homemade bombs exploded in the parking lot near Tower 1, causing a power outage in the tower's system and causing significant damage. Despite this, both towers remained standing. Those responsible for this incident were accused of collaborating with the Al-Qaeda group. After this terrorist attack, the financial center of New York went on high alert to counter further attacks. Despite all the concerns, no one believed that terrorists would strike again to destroy the Twin Towers on September 11, 2001. On September 11, 2001, the deadliest and largest terrorist attacks in the history of the United States occurred.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
4 planes hijacked from Logan International Airport, Dallas, Washington, and Newark were en route to Los Angeles. The plane hijackers struck the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York. As a result of these 2 impacts, all passengers along with many people in the buildings were killed, and both buildings were completely destroyed within 2 hours, causing significant damage to surrounding structures.
Police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the 2 towers. A huge explosion now raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
The plane hijackers crashed the 3rd plane into the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, and the 4th plane was brought down near Shanksville in Pennsylvania.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're looking at a live picture from Washington, and there is smoke pouring out the Pentagon. It would appear that there has been another major explosion, this one in the nation's capital.
Meanwhile, many passengers and flight crew had tried to regain control of the planes before the hijackings that were being directed towards Washington, D.C., but none of the passengers on this flight and the other 3 flights survived. According to some American sources, the 3rd plane was likely hijacked with the intention of targeting the White House. However, due to delays in the flight and conflicts during controlling the plane, they did not succeed in this action. The total number of fatalities in these attacks was 2,974. Considering the 19 hijacked planes, the total number of fatalities in these attacks reached 2,993. Most of the casualties were ordinary people and citizens from 90 different countries around the world. It is interesting to note that at least one death due to exposure to the dust created by the destruction of the two towers was reported. Reuters news agency, in a report published in 2019, finally announced that the number of injured and affected individuals in the September 11th attacks was about 25,000. Many political analysts believe that this event was as significant as the attack on Pearl Harbor, which led to the United States' involvement in World War II. According to analysts, September 11th changed the political history of this young country, especially as the Americans, who had no rival in the world after the fall of the Soviet Union in the 1990s, faced a new enemy, which were the extremist terrorists. The hijackers were comprised of 15 Saudi Arabians, 2 Emiratis, 1 Egyptian, and 1 Lebanese. The operative team behind the 9/11's attacks consisted entirely of individuals from Arab countries and members of the terrorist organization Al-Qaeda. At that time, the leader and founder of Al-Qaeda was Osama bin Laden. This group was supported by the Taliban, the then government of Afghanistan. As it became evident that Al-Qaeda was responsible for the attacks on the Twin Towers, President George Bush demanded that the Afghan government surrender Osama bin Laden. However, the Taliban refused to comply with this request. This event marked the beginning of the war between the United States and Afghanistan. The terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers on September 11, 2001, resulted in many harrowing moments captured by various photographers and journalists. However, the most iconic photograph published worldwide was taken by Richard Drew. This photograph is known as Falling Man. I was standing there taking pictures of a building that was being demolished when I heard someone say, "Look, he's jumping people leaped from the upper floors, fully aware that their death was inevitable." The photograph I captured of the falling man is a serene and still image. It is not violent, nor does it depict a shooting scene, however. The individuals connected to this image envisioned themselves in that man's position. Drew concludes, "A terrorist attack on our soil, yet there was no image of our deceased citizens, and this photograph portrays a person who is dying."
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices.
Following these attacks, George W. Bush, who was the President of the United States at the time, decided to invade Iraq in 2003, 2 years after the terrorist attacks.
Where the roads end in Afghanistan, the Taliban begin. In other words, roads promote enterprise. Enterprise provides hope. Hope is what defeats this ideology of darkness.
At that time, the Ba'ath Party and Saddam Hussein were in power in Iraq. His justification for initiating this war was based on Saddam Hussein's alleged relationship with Al-Qaeda and the need to eliminate weapons of mass destruction in that country. Al-Qaeda's terrorist attacks on the United States on September 11, 2001, triggered a wave of chaos and conflict, leading to the deployment of American forces in both Afghanistan and Iraq.